Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to today's information session on the new UK import requirements. My name is Damien Flynn. I'm the head of the Brexit and International Trade Division in the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine. And my division is responsible for coordinating the department's response to all issues related to Brexit. Before we start the webinar today, I just wanted to do some housekeeping. I just want to confirm that we will be recording today's webinar, and it will be available on the department's YouTube channel. We will also circulate this recording to all invitees to the webinar afterwards, along with the slide pack. We will have a question and answer session today after the presentation, where I will be joined by a number of experts from the department, and also my colleague Ray Ryan from the Revenue Commissioners and Bernard O'Donovan from Sea Fisheries Protection Agencies to answer questions that arise. So in terms of the questions, I would ask you to use the questions tab on the webinar. Please don't use the chat tab, use the questions tab, because we will not be able to see the questions in the chat function. You need to see the questions in the questions tab. So I would urge you to enter any questions you have into the questions tab, and we will try and deal with as many as possible at the end of the webinar. But also we will be doing a question and answers document after the webinar, similar to the one at our previous webinar in October. So we will circulate that as well after the webinar, and we'll answer as many questions as we possibly can today on the webinar. So I want to set out the agenda for today's webinar, but first I just want to begin by emphasising in the clearest terms that the latest information we have from the UK authorities is that these new changes in respect of UK import control requirements will now commence from the 31st of January 2024. The UK authorities have been firm on this with us, and have this week have indicated that to us. This is now only 8 weeks away, and as we have the Christmas period between now and then, I want to state in the strongest terms that it's really important that all food businesses and other businesses involved in the agri-food export supply chain to Great Britain must ensure they're ready for these changes, and have clarity in particular on who in their supply chain is responsible for fulfilling each of the new UK requirements. So in today's webinar, I will recap the main changes to import requirements for EU goods, including Irish goods going to Great Britain, which have been set out in the UK's final target operating model, which was published in August 2023, and as I say, which will now commence from the 31st of January 2024. I'll do a quick recap on the UK risk categorization approach to requirements based on a low, medium and high risk categories, with different requirements applying to different categories of products. So it's really important that you understand which category of product your goods exports to UK fit into. I will also be giving a high-level overview of the business process to apply for an export health cert by your business, depending on the commodity you're exporting. So whether that's meat or meat products, dairy and dairy products, animal pie products, fish and fishery products, and plant products. It's the key message in all of this is that it's really important that you engage with your local competent authority supervisory team who will be providing certification, whether that's the department, the HSE, the Sea Fisheries Protection Agency, or the local authority veterinary service. It's really important that you engage with those supervisors, because they are the certifying officers. If they're your certifying officer, to ensure that you're familiar with the certification process that will apply to ensure you get the certificate you need to export to the UK. I will also go over some of the key messages and preparatory messages we want to send as a department for your business to get ready for these changes. And as I say, we will have a Q&A session, and as I say, you should use the questions box to raise your questions, and we'll deal with those questions at the end of the webinar. So this slide I've just outlined some of the key documents that you should consult in terms of the new changes on the UK side for import requirements for agri-food goods from the EU, including from Ireland. The first document there is the final target operating model, which sets out all the different categories of goods that are required SPS must meet SPS import requirements on the UK side, and also customs related changes, and also how the UK will be operating their border entry points and border control posts. The second link there is to the export health certificates for EU agri-food imports to Great Britain. This is the UK certificates that will be required to support certification to UK if your good requires certification. The next two links are in relation to the risk categories that the UK is applying for products of animal origin, which is at CN code level, and also the risk categories that apply for plant and plant products. These documents outline the different risk categories that different products fit into. I would highlight that all of these changes are very significant to the trading environment between Ireland and the UK, and it's really important, as I say, that businesses fully engage with all of the changes set out in all of these documents. While the focus of today's webinar is on SPS changes which will apply, I do also want to touch on some of the changes on the customs requirements which the UK are introducing from the 31st of January. As I said, I'm joined by my colleague from the Revenue Commissioners, Ray Ryan, at today's webinar, and Ray is available to participate in our question and answer session if there are customs questions. So in relation to customs changes, the UK have indicated that the requirement for making an import declaration will apply for our goods coming from the island of Ireland from the 31st of January 2024. The current provision that provides for a 6-month delay in making this declaration, it will no longer be available. So this is a significant change. The pre-lodge declarations will then need to be entered on the UK's Goods Vehicle Movement Service. To be able to do this, you need to get a UK government account on GVMS. All the MRNs, movement records, need to be put into the GVMS to generate a goods movement reference. The importance of this goods movement reference is that you may not be able to board the ferry from Ireland to GB without this goods movement reference assigned by GVMS. It may be part of the booking or check-in arrangements that shipping companies will apply from the 31st of January. It's also worth noting that if your goods require an IPAS pre-notification, so your agri-food goods need to be pre-notified on the UK's import system. The IPAS pre-notification reference number is part of the must be part of the UK import declaration to be finalised. Therefore, if the IPAS pre-notification reference number is not entered, you may not be able to generate the GMR on GVMS. This is a really important change that all actors in the Ireland to GB supply chain should be ready for and understand who is responsible for making sure it's completed correctly. So I just want to emphasize the importance of knowing who in your supply chain is going to be responsible for fulfilling these conditions. Sorry, just moving on to my next slide. So the focus of today's webinar is on the new SPS import control requirements that the UK are applying. In respect of agri-food goods imports to GB from the UK, including Ireland, the following key changes will apply from the 31st of January. These requirements do not apply to movement of goods between Ireland and Northern Ireland, or in respects of Northern Ireland qualifying goods moving to Great Britain, even if they are moving via Irish ports. So just to be clear, these apply to Irish goods moving to Great Britain. The key changes relate to, for medium risk animal products, plant products, and high risk food and feed of non-animal origin, export health certification will be required. Also, an IPAS pre-notification will be required for goods travelling from Ireland to GB from the 31st of January. This has been in place for the rest of the EU since 2022. The UK, in their border target operating model, have also announced that there is no pre-notification requirement for low-risk plant products from the EU. So this is another change. From the 30th of April, the UK have indicated that documentary and risk-based identity and physical checks will be applied for goods coming from the EU. But again, a nuance here is that this will exclude Ireland because the border control posts to support these checks will not be in place on West Coast UK ports from the 30th of April. So this requirement will apply for imports from the rest of the EU, not Ireland. The UK have indicated in the border operating model that the date for the physical checks for Irish goods is to be confirmed, but it will be no earlier than October 2024. So once those requirements become clearer in 2024, we will be in contact and publicise what those changes will mean for Irish goods. On this slide, I just wanted to touch that these new requirements also apply in respect of transit movements for Irish goods moving across the GB land bridge to the EU. So for animal products and animals, high, medium and low risk animal products transiting GB will require pre-notification on the IPAS system. High risk and medium risk animals and animal products will also require a UK transit export health certificate. Again, they are published on the UK website. The link was on the earlier slide on the health certificates. High risk and medium risk animals and animal products will be subject to entry and identity checks at UK border control posts. But this date is to be confirmed by the UK government and will not commence for goods from Ireland transiting GB before the 31st of October 2024. So at the same time as goods being exported to GB. The UK border operation model also states that low risk animal and animal products will not require health certificates or be subject to routine checks at border control posts. But just to clarify, they do require an IPAS pre-notification. For plant and plant products transiting the GB land bridge, there is no requirement for pre-notification for IPAS or phytosanitary certification for high, medium or low risk plant products. Plant products transiting GB will require a signed declaration stating the goods are under phytosanitary transit and are packaged in such a way that there's no risk of spreading pests through GB. So again, just to highlight, there is a differentiation there in relation to transit movements for animal products versus plant products, so you should familiarise yourself with these differences. I just want to touch now quickly on the risk categorization that the UK and recap the risk categorization the UK is using as part of their import control policy. In respect of animal products, this table summarises the requirements. There's a link here again to the UK listing of products defining which products are in which category. And as you will see from the table, there are different requirements depending on which category you're in. So from the 31st of January for high risk goods, as has been the case since the 1st of January 2021, which was the end of the Brexit transition period, pre-notification is required, export health certification is required. But again, the actual checks at the border control post for Irish products will not commence before the 31st of October 2024. So high risk goods include live animals, germinal products, and commodities under safeguard measures. The significant changes from the 31st of January apply to medium risk goods. So for medium risk goods, pre-notification is required. The UK have indicated this should happen 24 hours in advance, unless a 4-hour delegation has been pre-agreed with the relevant UK Port Health Authority. For medium risk goods, animal products, there is also an export health certificate required. Medium risk goods include all meat products and meats, raw milk dairy products, infant formula, follow-on formula, baby food, food for special needs, medicinal dairy products with food for special medical needs, and animal byproducts and animal feed and fishery products. But as I say, the full listing of categorization of products is set out in the UK's guidance note. The link is at the top of this slide. In respect of low-risk goods, the UK have indicated that pre-notification is required from the 31st of January 2024, but no export health certificate will be required, and there will be no routine documentary ID or physical checks. Low-risk goods include composite products, canned meat products, non-raw or heat-treated dairy products, so which include cheeses, yogurts that are heat-treated, made from heat-treated milks, and processed animal byproducts. This slide here covers off the risk categorization in relation to plant products. So again, high-risk plant products have been subject to pre-notification and phytosanitary certification since the 1st of January 2021. From the 31st of January 2024, pre-notification will be required in respect of medium risk plant products as defined by the UK, and also also phytosanitary certification will be required, facilitated through the ePhyto system. In respect of low-risk plant products, the UK have indicated that there is no requirement for pre-notification, no phytosanitary certification, and there will be no routine physical or ID checks. There may be some post-import surveillance checks covered out by the UK authorities. Again, I would urge you to consult the UK's categorization of plant products to understand which category your products fall into. So again, just to note, there's quite a significant difference between the treatment of plant products and animal products. So it is important to consult the relevant UK guidance in this matter. Before I move on to some more detail in terms of, in particular, export health certification and the process to apply for an export health cert, I just wanted to take the opportunity to also highlight that the UK authorities have stated that new UK labelling changes for products on the GB market will apply from the 1st of January 2024. One significant change relates to the need for a UK importer address to be labelled on pre-packaged food or casings to be sold in GB. This should include the UK address for the food business operator whose name the food is marketed under, or if the food business is not based in the UK, the address of the importer in the UK. The UK have indicated that products sold in Northern Ireland must either have a Northern Ireland address or an EU address on this label. The UK authorities have stated that this address needs to be a physical address where the company can be contacted via mail. The company address cannot be an email address or phone number. The UK have also indicated that there's new country of origin labelling requirements which will apply from the 1st of January 2024, and the links on this slide provide further UK guidance on these issues, and they relate to country of origin labelling and other food labelling and packaging requirements. Again, I just wanted to highlight that it's important that food businesses should check with their UK customers if these changes have any impacts on your products that you're exporting to GB, and that you're clear about if there are any requirements from your business's side to fulfill these requirements, that you're clear on that and you've agreed then with your UK importer. So again, it's just highlighting this for information, and you should consult the UK guidance on this matter for further information. So now I want to provide some more detail on the application process for an export health certificate. So if your good requires an export health certificate, it's in the medium risk category from the UK side, it will require an export health certificate. And I want to run through some of the business processes to support applying for an export health certificate. This can be complex, so it's important that you understand that there's different certifying officers involved, and that therefore there are some different business processes depending on the products involved, whether that's meat and meat products, dairy and dairy products, animal byproducts, and fisheries products. I'll also touch on plant products as well, the process for that. So just some general messages on this. The EU traces system will be used to generate all export certificates to GB for animal products, including animal byproducts. A critical message to send is that you must engage with your local DAFM supervisory team or your competent authority supervisory team to work through the process needed to support certification. So if your competent authority supervisory team is a local authority veterinary service, the HSC, or the Sea Fisheries Protection Agency, you should be engaging with them or your DAFM, or for DAFM supervised plants, your DAFM supervisory team. DAFM has run over recent weeks and will continue to run training events for food business on the detail of applying for and completing an export health certificate, including the requirements for food businesses. It's really important that businesses engage with these training events, so I would urge all businesses to attend those events if they haven't already, and also to contact their local supervisory team if they need further engagement on specific requirements. Different processes, as I say, will apply for different commodity groups, so I will now quickly run through the process for each commodity. So in respect of meat and meat products, as I say, most of these products are under the medium risk category, and if so, they will require an export health certificate for exports to the UK. The EU traces system is the system that will be used for applying for and generating the export health cert for these products. DAFM requests, in terms of the process, DAFM is requesting that each FBO which requires export health certs for meat products, that they should submit each week to their local supervisory team a schedule of consignments requiring certification the following week. This will facilitate efficient planning and allocation of appropriate certifying resources to support each FBO's exports to GB. This should be agreed between the local supervisory team and FBO management. We also want to send the message that FBOs should focus on ensuring certification can take place within core working hours, which are 9 to 7 or 5:30, excuse me. This may require adapting current business processes if necessary to support core hour certification. This will ensure the most effective use of certifying officer resources. And again, it's really important that businesses engage with their local certifying teams to ensure this can happen. If FBOs require out of hours certification, they will be required to make a case and request same to DAFM, both to the DAFM supervisory team and also to the Brexit, submit that application to the Brexit division here, which at brexitcall@agriculture.gov.ie. We will have those details at the end of the slide pack. So just to reiterate there, if FBOs require out of hours certification, they must be making the case and request same to DAFM, both to the local supervisory team, but also centrally to the Brexit call email address. This request should detail why certification cannot take place in core hours, and also this case should only be submitted after consultation with the local supervisory team to explore how best certification can be provided within core hours. To note also that consideration of out-of-hours certification will be based on the most efficient and sustainable use of resources. And again, this will be based on the following out-of-hours windows: 7:30 in the morning to 9 AM, and also 5:30 to 10 o'clock. There will be no certification service available prior to 7:30 in the morning or after 10 o'clock at night. Also, in respect of weekends, limited service will be available on Saturday mornings, but no service will be available on Sundays. So this is the framework that DAFM will be working to in terms of certification for meat and meat products. And we would urge businesses to engage with this and ensure that this framework is used as the basis for requesting certification by businesses. Again, the key message is the need to engage with your local team on these issues. But also, if you're seeking out of our certification, you must submit a formal case and request to DAFM, both to the supervisory team, but also to the Brexit division for consideration. On this slide, it's just a step-by-step summary of the business process. So the first step is the exporter must ensure that the product complies with the UK requirements for GB certificate. Step 2, as I've noted already, a certification schedule should be submitted on a weekly basis to your local supervisory team, highlighting the certs for the following week, or the consignments which are going to GB the following week, which require certification. In terms of applying for a certificate, the food business must submit Part 1 application for certification on the Traces system, and this should include all supporting documentation, and it should happen at least 12 to 24 hours in advance of the certification requirement. It's really important that this documentation is submitted and this application is submitted as early as possible, because the more time the certifying officer has to review the documentation, the easier certification will be able to be provided in the timelines required by businesses. It's also each food business each application should be supported by an email to the local team notifying them of the application. This email should include the link to the Traces certificate number, the establishment of dispatch, and also the list of supporting documentation which is attached to the Traces application. This should include any CHEDs, relevant CHEDs, commercial documents, and traceability information, and also the estimated date and time of departure. The certifying officers and inspectors will then carry out the necessary technical and regulatory checks, and if the checks are passed, the EHC is approved by the certifying officer. The veterinary officer e-signs the EHC in Traces, and the EHC is e-sealed. The digitally signed document then will be notified to the food business applicant, and then will be available to be transmitted to IPAS, the UK IPAS system. This is a requirement of the IPAS pre-notification that the export health cert, the original e-sealed export health certificate from traces is uploaded to IPAS. So I would urge all business to engage with this process, and this is the process you should be consulting with your local team, your local supervisory team on. In particular, the critical messages are around the supporting documentation for certification and ensuring that that is complete, presented in a consistent manner and in a timely manner to allow the certifying officer team to approve and certify the product and provide the certification. In relation to dairy export health certification, the UK risk categorization process means that there is a lower number of products which are covered by in the medium risk and require certification. This includes raw milk dairy products made from raw milk, infant formula, follow-on formula, baby food, and food for special medical purposes. So all those products will require an export health certificate. Again, it's important for businesses who are exporting dairy products in these medium risk categories to familiarise themselves with all the new UK requirements and confirm, is your product medium risk or not. Traces will also be used for supporting export health certification to Great Britain of dairy products in the medium risk category. So again, you must ensure that you're fully registered on Traces and familiar with using the Traces MT system. You should also engage with everybody in the supply chain and the logistics and supply chain to ensure everyone is clear about who is responsible for different elements of the requirements on the UK side, whether that's customs, IPAS pre-notification, or the export health certificate, and the timing of all of those things. Again, a key message, and this applies across all product categories, but certainly on the dairy side, make sure you identify the correct health certificate for your products. And you should also now be contact and interact with your local DAFM dairy inspector who will be certifying your products to agree the process for certification. Again, you should have full traceability information to support your certifying officer, and that should be available to your certifying officer. Again, general message, we would urge, it's obviously good that if you can identify IT savvy and experienced staff to interact with Traces on the IPAS system. And also we would urge people to access guidance on the Irish and UK websites. So again, here we have the business process in relation to health certification. So again, very similar on the meat side, but obviously you're interacting with different certifying officers here. So again, you must ensure you can comply with the UK requirements. The food business, again, will be responsible for completing part 1 of the application on the Traces system. And again, a notification email should be sent to the dedicated milk policy division email address, notifying them of the application process. This email must include the food business point of contact details, the certificate numbers, direct link to the certificate on Traces, the estimated time of departure, and the list of the documentation which has been uploaded to Traces. Again, the inspectors will then carry out their checks, and then they will e-sign the certificate, and a digitally signed copy of the cert will be sent to the food business for transmission to IPAS. In respect of animal byproducts, all the same messages apply. So again, you should be engaging with your supervisory team, certifying officer supervisory team. And again, the step-by-step process here for how you apply for a cert. Again, this is being done through Traces. The exporter should also notify the dedicated admin animal byproducts email inbox of upcoming imports, and this should happen 48 hours in advance. Again, the FBO will submit part 1 of the application on Traces. The inspectors will carry out the necessary checks, and the cert will be generated on Traces and notified back to the. So all these processes are similar, but there are some nuances, in particular in relation to notification and where notification email should go. You should engage with your local team to confirm all of these details and the timing of all of these things. In respect of fish and fishery product certification, again, high risk and medium risk fish products will require export health certification, and again, that will be done on Traces. If all checks are passed, the certifying officer will e-sign the export health certificate on traces, and it will be sealed, and the document will be sent back to the applicant for transmission to the IPAS for pre-notification. Again, just to reiterate, all movements of low, medium and high risk fishery products will require IPAS pre-notification by the UK-based importer. In terms of export health certification, a food business must submit part 1 of the traces export health cert application to the Sea Fishery Protection Authority 48 hours in advance of the certification requirement. Physical checks and inspection will follow on a risk-based approach by the SFPA. Just to reiterate as well that IUU documents will still be required and will continue to be hard or paper copies. So again, different to the export health cert, which would be generated on the traces system. In respect of plants and plant products, again, you need to consult the risk categories to define whether your plants require export health certificate. Medium and high risk plants will, in terms of and therefore require phytosanitary certification. So again, you should engage with DAFM early in the process here. In respect to plant products, it should be 14 days in advance of export. This should be, you should provide pre-notification through the department's export certification system, ECS system, and provide any additional phytosanitary requirements as needed. Inspections will be required and scheduled, and you should be aware that there may be also specific additional testing that may be required in advance of export, depending on UK requirements. Again, key message: exporters may need to engage with their GB importers to obtain any additional phytosanitary requirements for different commodities, and be clear on that. So that was a quick overview of the business processes. As I say, all these slides will be circulated, so you will be able to review these and check in with these. A key part of that is engaging with your local supervisory team. So I would urge you to engage with them on all of these issues. So again, just to recap and some of the key messages from our side. So you need to identify if you need certification for your products. So to do that, you need to decide, is your product medium or low risk category based on the UK categorization. As I say, those links are in the slide pack. If your product is medium risk, identify the right health certificate that you require for your products, and then confirm that your business can meet all of the requirements for this UK certificate. Second key message is that you should examine your supply chain, know who is responsible for each UK requirement. So this means who's going to complete the pre-notification on the UK IPAS system. The UK have indicated that should be a GB entity that does this. So again, you need to be clear who's doing that. Is your business registered on the traces system as an exporter? So again, this is critical for animal products. You should be registered on the EU traces system as an approved exporter. And this applies to low risk products as well as medium risk and high risk products. The importance of this for low risk products is that an IPAS notification is required for low risk animal products, and the UK system, IPAS system will only recognise businesses that are approved on the EU traces system as exporters to be able to make IPAS pre-notifications. So again, that's a critical step that needs to be taken for all businesses exporting animal products to the UK, whether they're low, medium or high risk. You should also be clear about who is applying for the export health certificate in your business, and ensure that and then who will be ensuring that the certificate is sent to your GB importer for upload onto the IPAS system. The final point, and I've said it a few times already, and I'll probably say it again before the end of the webinar, is that it's really important that you now engage, continue to engage, and also engage intensively over the coming period with your local supervisory competent authority team, whether that's the department, the HSE, the local authority, veterinary service, or the sea fisheries protection agencies. You should be talking to them to confirm what health certification you need for your products, ensuring that the UK health certification requirements can be met by your business, and ensuring that you have all supporting documentation required by the certifying officer. and agreeing how this will be presented in a consistent format and on a timely basis to ensure certification can take place efficiently. And again, the final message is that you should be agreeing that business process based on the framework I've outlined earlier on slides for certification, and agreeing that with your local supervisory team. This is a crucial step in ensuring that certification can be provided on a timely basis and in accordance both of the needs of the businesses, but also in terms of meeting the certifying officer requirements and their timelines for providing certification. So again, my final slide here is just again some key messages overall for businesses as we approach the deadline of the 31st of January. As I say, it's only 8 weeks away now, and we have Christmas in between that, so I know it's a really busy time for everybody. But these changes are coming from the 31st of January, and it's so important that businesses are engaging on those changes and ensuring their business is ready for these changes in concert with the local certifying teams. So again, familiarise yourself with all the changes on the UK side in terms of customs and SPS requirements. For exporters of animal products, including low-risk products, low-risk category products, confirm that your business is registered as an approved exporter on the EU traces system. Engage with everyone in your supply chain, including your transports and logistics providers, to identify who is fulfilling each UK import requirement, whether that be a customs requirement, a pre-notification of SPS goods requirement, or export certification. Engage with your local supervisory team to agree the business process for certification. Restructure your business process to apply for export sales certificates, taking into account the need to do that during core working hours. If out of hour certification is required, you're going to have to make a request and a case to DAFM, both to the local team and also to the Brexit call email address, requesting this and outlining the parameters you require. This will allow us then to engage and come to an agreement about what certification is most optimal for each business. Ensure that the export certification application details are correct when you're applying for a cert, and that your business has full traceability information and supporting documentation available when completing the certification application. This will ensure that the certifying officer is able to carry out the necessary controls and checks in a timely manner. And also, I would urge you all to attend DAFM training webinars. They are being publicised by the different divisions who are organising them, but we are also circulating them widely to all businesses as well. So I would urge you to engage with those as well. They're going into more detail on those business processes, including on the supporting documentation and requirements that are needed to support export health certificate applications. On this slide, I've just highlighted some of the training and webinar resources that are available, both for certifying officers, but also for food businesses. So I've just listed some of those and also given some links to those as well. So on traces, there was training delivered in June. The recordings are available at this hyperlink. Again, this is in the slide packs we will be circulating to. You should be able to see that and see that traces training, which includes how you register on traces and how you register as an exporter. In respect of meat and meat product training on certification, a webinar was held on the 5th of December this week. A recording of this webinar will be circulated shortly, but there is also another training session for food business on the 13th of December. We've attached the registration link is here on this slide, and you should have also received that from our meat hygiene division. But I would urge all businesses who are exporting meat products to GB to engage with that webinar, that training session, because there's lots of detail about what the requirements are for certification, and also the requirements to support your certifying officer in providing that certification that you should be aware of at those training sessions. In respect of animal byproducts, training took place on the 21st of November for food businesses. Further training will be scheduled over the coming period and into the new year. And the relevant DAFM division will be in contact in relation to that. Again, we would urge business to engage with that. I'm not sure all businesses engage with the training on the 21st of November, animal byproducts businesses who are exporting to GB. So I would urge you all to engage with that training when it's rescheduled over the coming period. In respect of dairy and dairy product training, there's a limited number of food businesses who require certification, and they are under DAFM. The ones under DAFM supervision will be contacted directly by the dairy inspector to work through the business process and the training in respect of applying for an export health certificate. Guidance will also be produced in terms of the application process for an export health cert, and that should be circulated shortly. In respect of plant and plant products, an information webinar was held on the 24th of November. And I would urge businesses to contact their local supervisory plant health inspector for any further information they require about applying for an export health cert or phytosanitary cert for export to GB. In respect of fish and fishery products, an information webinar was held by the Sea Fishery Protection Agency on the 30th of November. Again, I would urge you to contact the SFPA for any further queries you have in relation to UK requirements for export, including export health certification. Just to note, DAFM training will continue into January, and we will be publicising that and circulating that. But if you have any queries in relation to training or information, you can also contact my division, the Brexit division, at the Brexit call centre, and I'll be sharing details shortly on that. DAFM will also be running certification trial run days with individual FBOs. These will be scheduled in early January, so there will be run-throughs of export health certification consignments on a trial basis in January. And hopefully that will allow us to test the business processes that are in place and iron out any individual issues that arise for individual businesses in advance of the 31st of January 2024. Also, just to publicise, the UK side, DEFRA, are running a series of webinars, a further series of webinars. There was one this week on the 4th of December. There's another webinar on the 11th of December, and we have circulated details on that. But anybody who wants details of that, registration for that, again, they should contact Brexit Call in that regard. As I say, the slide pack will be circulated today, so here is the contact details for Brexit Call. I would urge you, any queries you have, to contact us at this email address, and we will try and get a response to you. And also, this is the link to our web pages, which have a number of resources there, including previous webinars and how-to guides. So again, I would urge you to use these resources for information. And my final slide, just some contact details on the UK side. Obviously, these are UK requirements. We have no control over how the UK are going to apply them, or how, we have no real control over how they're going to implement them. So I would urge you, if you have any queries in relation to how the UK requirements, that you raise them also with the UK side, because it's really important that they understand any issues you are having, or any lack of clarity you have as a food business export to GB on the new UK requirements. So again, those contact details will be on the slide pack and will be shared with you in terms of how you can contact the UK authorities. So just before we move to the question and answer session, I just want to kind of reiterate, obviously, and I've said it several times in my presentation, these changes are coming. They're coming from the 31st of January 2024. So it's really important that businesses are ready for it. The department is ready to support businesses in meeting these changes, but to do that, we need to work together. We need to engage, particularly at a local level, with our local supervisory team, to make sure everyone is clear about each other's responsibilities and what is possible in terms of providing export health certification. So my key message, as always, on these webinars is that it's really important that businesses engage with these changes, have clarity on what the requirements are for your business, know who's responsible within your business or within your supply chain to GB for fulfilling those requirements, and that you engage with the local competent authority supervisory team to ensure that everyone is clear about who is responsible for meeting different requirements, whether that's related to pre-notification or whether it's related to how export health certification can be provided. So thank you.